I am here with the cast and creators of The Trouble Man, brand new show for JTS, airing on Mondays exclusively on JTS.tv. And I'm going to let those guys introduce themselves. Peter, why don't we start with you?
I'm Peter Hermes, co-creator and director of The Trouble Man.
I'm Paul Nobrega, and I play Detective Fick.
I'm John Selvidge. I'm a co-creator and co-writer of The Trouble Man.
And I'm Nick Hermes, also co-creator and co-writer of The Trouble Man.
Your show has become an instant favorite amongst some of the JTS team members here. I love it. Good stuff. Love the humor. Would love to hear... let's just start out with maybe your favorite moment. It doesn't matter. It could be it could be a part of the writing process. It could be a part of the production. Why don't each of you share what is your favorite part of the journey so far for The Trouble Man?
Well, I have to say that when I first met Peter, we did sort of a prequel to the story that Nick and John wrote. The reason I'm picking that as my favorite moment, even though it's not included in the series, it's what sold me on the series.
Some of it's included in the series.
Oh, some of it is, yeah, sure. Some of it is. But it was working with Peter and watching what he had been able to present and how good the quality was going to be. And it sold me on the project. And in fact, we used that video to get some of the other cast members like Joel Murray and Rance Howard and some of these folks on board because they saw the potential in what we'd already done.
Be careful with those. They're spicy.
What are these? This is not my husband. This guy is Latina.
Oh, no, Latino. Latinas are broads. And your husband's in there if you care to keep looking.
There's some in here for me.
I know. It's all part of the surveillance package you bought. It's no extra charge.
So for me, it was basically the first time we worked together, that was magic. And all the rest of the time was gravy after that.
To me, it was actually, especially working at such a distance from you guys, but the first time I actually got to see the synergy working between words on a page and what Peter was able to realize on set and on camera, and the way that Paul nailed this character, saying words that we had written, inhabiting a scene and the story that we all did together. That was by far my favorite moment, just seeing the kind of the first takes of shooting the main pilot.
Previously on The Trouble Man.
The news of Newly's death only broke this morning.
How much are you worth alive? What do I really have to go on here?
I don't want to walk out of here a dead man.
I can guarantee results.
I mean, I think it was writing all of this stuff, which I thought was pretty good, and then you put it in Paul's hands, and he imbues it with some real charisma, and it becomes more than the words on the page. To see it actually on screen and somebody, capable, I mean, more than capable, doing something more with it, I mean, that just knocked me out.
I'd say the highlights for me would be the cast that we were able to get. That was huge. To have been able to direct people like Paul, who's just as talented as anybody I've ever worked with. And then you bring in, Joel Murray, who was a favorite of mine from when I was a kid, and Rance Howard, who was in some of my very favorite movies for the last 60 years. Just to be able to be in the room with those guys and just sort of, give them the material that Nick and John wrote and say, look, here are the words, make them you. And just to see that process happen just put a smile on my face. I mean, this guy is a machine. You give him pages. All he said was, I need pages at least 2 days before we shoot, at the very least. And sometimes he would get them 2 days before. Most of the time he got them a week in advance. But most of Paul's dialogue, this is Fick's story. So Paul's dialogue is monologues, all monologues. And so to rest the entire show on an actor's, shoulders, I had to really trust this guy. And from the second I met him, I said, look, I got a part for you. You're going to love it. And this was at a party. I said, I got a part for you. You're perfect for it. I barely knew the guy. So I sent him some pages, and I'm like, let's do this thing. And from the first camera test that we did...
Name's Fick. Just Fick. I live in Los Angeles, where the city never sleeps. I live in Los Angeles, where the sun never stops. Where the sun never quits.
He killed it.
Yeah, it was the easiest part I ever got. He said, hey, you want to do this part? And I'm like, well, what is it? We shot the quote-unquote prequel, and then we were off to the races.
Is that prequel footage, is that used in the season, or is that a separate...
Bits and pieces of it. The opening 30-second opener for every episode has pieces from the prequel.
You need somebody found or found out? Call me.
Name's Fick. Just Fick.
It was a backstory. We decided that we wanted to make the Trouble Man web series, or TV pilot web series, but we thought, well, let's tell the backstory of what happens right up until the point where the series starts.
The city of dirty angels waits for no man, and no fat grows on a rolling stone. I've got a lot of ground to cover, but I'm on the case, see? Who better than me? Fick.
We'll do that first, and it's only like we'll do a little real quick 3 minutes, and get interest, and then people will know everything that they need to know about the character, about the world that we've created, and then they can start at episode 1.
When you go from one episode to the next, you're waiting to find out what happens. You know, the episodes are self-contained, but they are all tied together. And when one thing happens, it means something else is about to happen. There's a few misdirections. It really tells you a story over time. And, you know, it's fun to watch.
I'd like to say there are a few kind of buried, I think mainly as a result of things Peter did, but there's some in the script too, but buried little nuggets that fans of, you know, the noir genre, like Raymond Chandler fans, Dashiell Hammett fans, will probably like. I think there are a few inside jokes that we've even forgotten about because we're so familiar with them. But as you watch, I don't think all those got edited out. I think there are a few little pregnant, cool things in there that might be familiar to some people who might be refreshed by seeing them in a comedy rather than in mystery novels or old shows like Columbo or things like that. In terms of like appreciation for the genre and the whole noir detective thing and the hard-boiled ethos, it's there kind of in the language, but also just in the whole sensibility of Fick's world there. It's I think this could only be in L.A., Noir Central, right? And I'd love it if people saw some of that in there too.
When I lived in L.A., I noticed that everybody was an actor. Like the cop is an actor, and your landlord is an actor. Everybody was an actor, and that's kind of where I came from. It's like, well, this guy's a detective, and he's actually good at it despite himself. But he didn't really like doing it. What he likes doing is writing, but he's no good at writing, you know. But he's in L.A., so of course he wants to work for movies. So that was kind of where I came from.
He's somebody they're not.
Right, and especially with that L.A. thing and the noir thing, you just throw the hat on him, and, you know, everybody dresses up in L.A. It's Halloween all the time there, so this guy actually would fit in wearing those kinds of old-timey clothes. I mean, no one glances askance at the dude.
Actually, one of my favorite innovations of yours, Paul, was like the grimace you give every time Fick like takes a pull from some whiskey.
With my hard-boiled moxie, I figured I could scribble my way to Hollywood's lost city of gold, get to the heart of things, and maybe get a book or a movie deal out of it.
It's not in the script that Fick doesn't like whiskey, and I thought it was so awesome he pulled off. He's just like putting it on as a hard-boiled thing.
Yeah, it's like what Nick was saying. He puts on the hat. He puts on the act.
Right.
But it's really not him. He's trying to make it up as he goes. You know, noir detectives drink whiskey, so I drink whiskey, even though I hate it.
One thing that I remember from production that Peter and I started doing pretty early on in the process was once we shot what we needed to shoot, we got it in the can, I said, can we do a fun take? And it was just to give me an opportunity to improv or expand on any one little thing I felt might work in the moment.
Oh, hey, Blue Eyes. Can you give me a bottle of Evian and ask your boss there to pull the stick out of his... Oh, hey! Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a nice piece. Oh.
And we wound up using a lot of that footage.
It's some of our favorite stuff.
And it was great. So that's what's great fun as an actor. You want a little freedom to try to do something a little extra, to bring yourself to the role that's already well-defined, that we've done the character development, but then that one little extra thing that makes it really exciting in the moment for an actor to do. And so it was kind of the full deal for me, man. It really was. Getting the great script, starting with fantastic writing, getting a cast together. There's so many great faces in this show that when people watch, they're like, I know that guy. You know, and it just adds so much flavor to the thing.
No, what's great about it, I mean, the whole thing with the detective series is anybody can walk into Fick's office or pick up the phone. My hope is that you can, as we go, ground this in some characters as far as all the eccentric kind of subcultures you could conceivably get into. You know, this season it's the art world, but I love the idea of kind of turning over some interesting little stones and seeing what Fick can run into there.
Thanks for joining us if you're watching, and thanks, guys, for joining us in the Hangout.